Now, the conversation in Washington has been centered on the government shutdown as it moves into its 6th day today. The House pushing for a change to Obamacare. But the law actually changed? Or is this just one big distraction? Joining us now is Pennsylvania Congressman Mike Kelly. Congressman, thanks a lot for joining us. So Obamacare goes online this past Tuesday, and has a ton of problems immediately. And yet those problems are eclipsed by news coverage of the government shutdown. Was this a good thing?
Well, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just do know that they have encountered a lot of problems, and we knew that was going to happen. But, Tucker, the real issue here is about fairness and how we address the problems that we have in this country. My definition of fair is making sure that one group isn't treated with more favor than another. And when you look at the Affordable Care Act, you say, my goodness, you know, there were 1,200 waivers. There are certain people that had carve-outs. You know, our members of Congress and their staff, and the White House and their staff, and everybody else being treated the same way as other Americans, and our employers getting a break that individuals don't. And I think my colleague said, you know what, let's take a step back from this. Let's do what's right for the American people. This is not a Republican issue or Democrat issue. This is a fairness issue. It's that basic. And the other problem coming up, as you know, we've got a debt ceiling, and the debt is growing at such a rate. And if we don't understand that this particular piece of legislation is driving our debt even deeper and deeper and beyond the point of no return. So we've got to keep those things in mind. The rhetoric's been kind of heated, and I've seen people with their eyes bugging out and their veins bulging from their neck as they rail against things on the House floor, things that we all agree on, by the way. We've been able to pass legislation in the last couple of weeks that makes sense for every single American. And I look at that and say, please, please, back off this. Let's make sure we keep working. While we can't maybe get the big piece done, let's get some of the other pieces that are very, very important to the American people off the board. And we've been doing that.
But there is a theme here that I guess I'm confused why Republicans aren't saying this out loud more often, that the left passes laws that are good for you, but that they're not going to abide by. They want gun control, but they have armed guards. They want wind farms, but not off their houses in Nantucket. They want Obamacare, but their congressional staff shouldn't have to buy into it. That, it seems to me, is a bipartisan message that everyone could get behind, and yet you rarely hear anybody say that. Why?
Well, because it doesn't fit their particular base. And that's why I said, Tucker, this past week, people railing against us passing the funding for WIC, women, infants, and children. We passed things that would take care of our seniors. We passed things that would take care of our veterans. And the other side says, oh, this is just a ploy. Republicans are using these people, where they're gaming the American people. No, if it was good for your side, wouldn't it be good for our side? Isn't it good for all sides when we come together on things we agree with and get them passed and get them funded? See, I look at that, and I'm with you. Listen, if it was about being fair, we would be backing off this right now and say it's not fair. You write a law, you should live by the same laws that you wrote. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And I'm watching these people get wrapped around the axle on things that they get very emotional about, but there's no objectivity to it.
Right.
And it just, there's been a pettiness. You know, the president, this is a big position. It requires a really big person. You can't be petty, and you can't be so proud, stubborn proud, that you say, nope, it's either my way or no way. Now, Tucker, if you and I had a problem, and I said, Tucker, let's get together, let's have lunch, let's work this out. And you came to lunch, and I said, Tucker, before we get started, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I'm not moving off of anything that I've already said. Right. So have a seat and listen. It doesn't make sense.
Not much of a negotiation. Congressman Kelly, thanks a lot for joining us this morning. I appreciate it.
Tucker, thank you so much for having me.